Hi, and welcome to The Bright Balloon, a podcast where I'm sharing bright ideas for your balloon business. My name is Sarah Meyer, and I'm a balloon business owner like you, and I love the creative side of what I do, but I really love the business side, which seems to be the part where most people struggle. So I'm here to help. Each week, I'm bringing you an episode full of bite-sized tips you can use to make improvements in your business. I want you to make more money, eliminate stress, and learn along with me as we grow our creative businesses together. Welcome to The Bright Balloon, presented by 17 Hats. Hello and welcome to this episode. Today I am joined by Maggie, who is the owner of Presley Paige, a beautiful retail store located in Arkansas. And the first time that I became aware of Presley Paige was probably the same time a lot of you became aware. And that was when we all saw the most massive, amazing sorority installs ever in Arkansas. Like unreal, trees dripping with balloons, huge columns and balconies just covered in balloons. So we are talking about these insane installations that Maggie and her team have done. And I think you're going to be surprised when she talks about them and how she gets the labor for these installations. In addition, she is running a very successful retail location, and we get into that as well. Just a really smart woman. I was blown away by this interview, how she financed her business, how she provides benefits for her employees. Like so much was just out of my wheelhouse because unlike a lot of balloon people who start balloons and then open a brick and mortar, she did it opposite. She had the brick and mortar, she had the retail location, and then started offering balloons as an additional service. So lots of takeaways from this episode. I think you're going to be just as impressed with Maggie as I was. And before we hop into the interview, let's head over to the U-Glue hotline for some great advice that sticks. Welcome to the U-Glue hotline, where we discuss great advice that sticks. Brought to you by Pro Tapes. If you have a question or some great advice to share, click the link in the show notes to call in and leave a voicemail.
Hi, this is Kelsey with Time to Party Balloons here in New Jersey, Central Jersey to be specific. I just wanted to give you guys a super quick little tip. If you ever have like a U-Glue dash or U-Glue strip that it's really stuck to your backdrop and you cannot get it off, using a blow dryer or a heat gun to get that off is fantastic. Even with vinyl, if you're having a really hard time actually getting the vinyl to adhere to your backdrop, using a heat gun or a blow dryer, like I said, works phenomenal. I personally have a small little heat gun in my toolbox at all times, just in case this happens when I'm at a venue, and I love it so much. So I also wanted to say thank you, Sarah, for everything that you do and all the time that you put into the podcast. We love you so much. I hope everybody has an amazing day. Bye.
Pro Tapes is a leading manufacturer of specialty tape products like Pro Gaff, Pro Artist Tape, and our favorite balloon tape, U-Glue, which helps you create amazing balloon arrangements and decorations in less time. You can save 5% on U-Glue when you buy directly from Having a Party using code BRIGHT at checkout. All right, welcome, Maggie from Presley Paige. I'm so excited to chat with you about your store. You have a retail location and you do balloons. Before we jump in, give us an introduction. Where are you located and what type of business do you have?
Yeah, so I am located in Fayetteville, Arkansas. It's the city that the University of Arkansas is located in, so it's a perfect college town. And I own Presley Paige, like you said. So it's a brick and mortar store that opened in 2020. And then in 2021, we branched out into event services, with balloons being that primary like industry that we're in. So we do tons of balloons and sell everything from party plates to a couch. So lots of variety, but it's a lot of fun.
How did you get into that? What were you doing before?
I was in real estate development, like primarily like project management and marketing before. So I feel like running a business is very similar to like managing a project. In my world, in my previous career, every like 8 to 10 months, we would reposition an asset or like start a new project. So it was pretty much like starting a business from scratch all the time.
Yeah.
And the only thing I would say like the big difference is like we would sell our assets, or like I was in charge of like repositioning an asset that we purchased to be for sale. So here's like the long game. There was like buy this, reposition it, sell it, and get rid of it.
Okay.
So yeah, I have worked on Presley Page longer than one consecutive project at my old job because everything was in and out so quickly.
Yeah, neat. And so a lot of balloon people do balloons and then they eventually want the retail shop. So you kind of did it in reverse.
Yeah.
What from the retail, I guess, what was appealing to you in the first place? Did you just like love cute stuff? You have a good eye? Like what brought you into actually the party
Yeah,
goods?
so I opened as a party store pretty much. Like we had some greeting cards, we might have had a few candles, but it was like primarily party. And I think as in 2020, right? Like it still seems like we've progressed a lot in our industry since then. But having like a specialty party still was still kind of like you saw them in California and you saw like Love of Character and Kansas was like the closest local thing. But they were really like on the coast for the most part. And I like wanted to bring a little bit of that flair to where I was at. And opening in January 2020, you had the pandemic. So like I had to really pivot the business because of the pandemic and like people weren't having in-person celebrations. So that meant like they're not buying tons of plates and napkins from me at the time for their
Yeah.
at-home parties. So that was kind of like what kind of forced us into gift. And I mean, the balloons just kind of happened naturally. Like we always had a helium bar from the beginning, but then like helium was hard to get and there was just so many complications of like we would never have like the characters that people wanted, but like garlands and the demand kept increasing with social media. So it just became one of those natural things that we added to the business because customers asked for it, not
Yeah.
that I was seeking to add balloons to my business.
See, that's so interesting. So then how did you learn? Were you just like watching YouTube videos or have you been to events? Like how did you learn how to, go from a helium bar to like a full-on install, which we're going to talk about your insane installations because you're not just like
Yeah,
dabbling in balloons. Like we'll get to the meat of
I
this
mean,
interview,
I
but
think like the first one that I did like a class from balloon therapy
okay.
really early on. I think that was after like my second or third big install when I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing. And I thought I needed like the expert. And so I did like a class from them online and everything else has been trial and error. I have a really like great team and I have some people that like started with me really early on. And so I think they were really like foundational into like learning it as well. So it wasn't just like me learning. And we got busy very quickly, so we didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
Like we had to learn really quickly. I remember like one of our first installs, it was outdoors and it was for like a local influencer that I'm friends with. And every balloon popped and I was at the shower and I just like that embarrassment is enough to make you be like, oh my gosh, I have got to figure my ish out because
Oh
this is
no.
so embarrassing. Um,
That
and
is
obviously,
bad. When you're at the party, it's always stressful. What do you know what happened? Like why that
I
happened?
think it was just like we overinflated the balloons. Like I had
Okay.
no idea. It was like 90 degrees in May. I didn't realize. It's like when you don't know, like, oh, you can't inflate it all the way. Like you can't go that big with a 17 or
Yeah.
I mean, I think it was like cute, but I remember like balloons were flying away during the party and people were like, "Hey Maggie, there's balloons." And I was like, "Cool. That's great."
Like we meant for that to happen.
Yeah, that was probably I think it was like the embarrassment of that was enough to kind of like make me try to figure things out a little bit more.
Cool. Well, you certainly have. Let's
Yeah.
take our first break and then I want to talk about sororities. Is that okay?
Okay.
All
Yeah,
right.
that's great.
We'll be right back. Are you ready to take your balloon business to the next level? Look no further than Having a Party Wholesale, your ultimate destination for all things balloons. Having a Party Wholesale is on the cutting edge of new products that will wow your clients from top brands like Tuftex, Jamar, Anagram, Ellie's, Sempertex, Premium Conwin, and introducing Brookloon, a new balloon line created by the Having a Party family. They've got the widest selection to fuel your creativity. Join the successful league of professional balloon artists who shop at havenaparty.com. Okay, so the first time I saw you was when your sorority stuff went like crazy viral. Was this probably 2 years ago, I would think? Was it last year? It was like
I
the
think,
drive-by video of all the houses, and I just
yeah.
felt like everyone was like losing their minds over these installations.
2022, I think, was the year that was like our first year of doing multiple houses, and it went crazy viral. So that was probably it.
And like how okay, so like here's what I'm hearing. You're just like, yeah, we just like kind of started doing balloons, but then you're also doing these like insanely scaled dream jobs. Like these are not just like baby shower style. So if people don't know what I'm talking about, you have to go to your Instagram and look. They're like
Yeah.
entire mansions dripping with balloons, like the bushes were covered. There was stuff on the lawns, like incredible. So I have my two big questions is how did you get those jobs? And how do these girls have that budget? Like, tell us about sorority life in Arkansas. I don't think it's the same in
Oh my gosh.
Wisconsin.
So I would say, so I'll answer the first question. So our first ever job that we booked ever in the history of balloons, really, was for a sorority. So it was for Chi Omega's Founders Day in 2021, and they were like, we want to do something, and we did like a really huge installation. It took, I can't even tell you how many hours, like so many hours, probably like 12 to install. We were blowing everything up on site, and it was huge. And I think I was so inspired by these big installs that I saw on the internet that I didn't like really realize like there were small things. Like I wasn't interested in the small stuff. I was interested in the big stuff.
Mhm.
And so I didn't quote it correctly. Nothing was right about what I did, but that was what started. And then we did like one for ourselves that same year in like June or July. And then a sorority reached out to us and was like, hey, tried out, was like, hey, we have bid day in 3 weeks and we really want balloons, but we have like a really small budget. And I was like, okay, cool. Like if you want to help us blow up some of the balloons, then I'll give you a discount. And
Oh,
so
interesting.
that's kind of how it started. And that was the first year. So we did one house for bid day in 2021. And then in 2022, we had 5 houses. And that was the year that it went viral. Because if you're not familiar with sorority recruitment, the last party for Sorority Rush like ends on Friday around like 7. And then you have all night to install. And everything has to be ready by about 7 a.m. the following
And is
morning.
that bid day?
That's bid day. Yeah.
Okay, so that's
So
like when the girls get their bids. They get
they're
accepted into
kind
one of
of,
the sororities, right?
yes. And every chapter has like its own theme. So that's kind of like, I would say how it started was like, we got this one house and then like people started to see our work. And I think balloons still at Arkansas before that, there were houses that did like a little bit of decor, but it was nothing like we had ever done. And so essentially just my team and I have really great imaginations and create some crazy things, and the girls liked it. And so that's how it started. And then we work with them. They don't have big budgets. And I think that's like a common misconception on the internet is people always think like, oh my gosh, this was insane. Like, how did they afford this?
Yeah.
And they don't have like really big budgets, but we've had to work like strategically because I want to do that big work for them. And it's only once a year. And so there's definitely like a compromise and a lot of like free labor that happens and exchanging. They help us a lot with like blowing them up.
Okay,
So
so they're very
there's
involved.
they're extremely involved in the preparation. Our team strings everything and installs everything, but they help us a ton with the prep, um, which makes us able to like discount those services for them and still have like a really incredible like end result for everybody.
Yeah, neat. Do you feel like those installs going viral online has helped your retail store at all? Because you can ship, right? Like you could, in
Yeah.
theory, have someone find you an order, or like, you're mostly in person?
I would say like it definitely like grows our following on social
Hmm.
media. I don't know that it's a huge driver of sales. I'd say locally it helps like reestablish our position as like the best in in our area at Balloons, and like the people that you're going to call if you have like a really large scale installation that you
Yeah.
want. So I think that for us, it definitely impacts our local business more so than our online business, and especially our balloon business, because
Yeah.
like we see like a direct correlation to like after we do these crazy installs, the number of requests that are coming in for the coming
Cool.
weeks and
Okay,
months.
so so I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you
Yeah,
essentially are kind of looking at these sorority installs as marketing.
definitely. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, interesting. Because
Very
I thought you were making like 100 grand on the, like they look like these massive jobs, but you're saying you're not making that much, but then you're getting an influx of fully paid jobs after the fact.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I wish I was making hundreds of thousands of dollars off of them. They definitely pay me, but it's nowhere near like what we would charge
Like
a traditional
retail.
client.
Yeah. So then what are your regular jobs? What are like your bread and butter where you're like, this is how we're actually making our money from balloons? Are you doing showers, weddings? Like, what do you do?
Most of we do a lot of corporate stuff. So Walmart is here.
Okay.
So because Walmart headquarters is here, you also have every supplier in the like pretty much world is here. So like Campbell's Soup or Nestle or like P&G, like pretty much every major brand is in our area.
Okay.
So we do a lot of corporate work. We do a lot of like high net worth private individual work. And then just like birthday parties and everything in between. So I'm jealous of my friends in Dallas and Kansas City and these bigger cities because we don't have like professional football. We don't have like the celebrity life of LA when people are
Yeah.
doing crazy installs for like the Kardashians. We don't have that, but we do have a lot of great businesses here that we have a great community of like shop local too. So we do a ton of business work for just like local small businesses as well. Um, but our most fun and like creative stuff is usually for ourselves or for the sororities on campus because not only do they have bid day, but they have like continuous work all throughout the year. So almost every week we do an installation for like 1 to 2 sororities on campus.
Cool. Cool. Let's take a break. And then I want to talk about your actual installations because you're not just like putting up an arch. You're like wrapping columns and trees. So I'm curious about
Oh,
like how you actually do that. So let's talk about rigging when we come back. If you're looking to grow your balloon business through sales and marketing, Balloon Suite is the high-tech toolkit designed just for you. Let's chat with Jeff Kelly, owner of Balloon Suite, to answer one of your sales and marketing questions. All right, Jeff, today we have a question from Couture Events Co. And they are wondering how you get more customers on Facebook.
I think one of the most important things about Facebook is creating content for your target customer. So if you want to bring in customers that are doing business events, then create posts of, about your business customers, showing us the business decor you can do. If you want to bring in weddings, I want to see weddings all over your profile. Things for wedding planners, things for other vendors who are working in weddings. Show me your work in weddings. Tailor your content to the people you want to bring in, and they'll find you on social media.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thanks so much. Balloon Suite helps boost your sales, solve everyday problems, and keeps you on track to reach your goals. Check out the link to Balloon Suite in the show notes wherever you're listening, or head right to balloonsuite.com. All right, welcome back. We've talked about your sorority stuff. I have a couple more questions. I want to talk about quoting. You mentioned that you didn't quote your first job appropriately and that you're not, you do a little bit of trade for these huge installs. But I am curious your quote process for these massive jobs because I find them very overwhelming. And I'm curious about your installation like techniques because you said you're kind of learning. Well, you were kind of learning as you went.
For
Um,
sure.
but what do these installs look like? These mansions with pillars. Are you up there on cherry pickers? Are you like hanging out of bedroom windows? Or are you doing easier things that like it just looks like a lot of installation when it's really not? Like, what's the actual install process like on these houses?
So most of the houses, I mean, from like everybody always asks like what tools we use. Okay. So I'll say that first. Like we just use 260s and brick clips.
Okay.
Nothing crazy. Like that's kind of our bread and butter. We don't really like use anything else hardly ever anytime.
So when you say a brick clip, are those like the little things that like claw
Oh,
on, or are you talking about the square, like the stickies?
like the square sticky
Okay,
with the
square stickies.
260 attached to it. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like in our toolkit, we can install anything as long as we have those things.
And do
Um,
you do mostly outdoor?
um, I would say like 50-50.
Okay.
Like we just kind of do whatever.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, we just have ladders. Like my brother-in-law was actually here like 20 minutes ago and he goes, so, are you selling any ladders now? Because my truck has so many ladders.
Okay.
So we use a ton of ladders. Most everything is laddered for us. I think for bid day we used a lift at one house this year. So most everything we just ladder up there, brick clip, attached to a window, and that's it. I don't
Yeah.
know.
No, I love it. I mean, like
Because, like, I don't know that it's super complicated. Sometimes like we'll build it on the ground. So if we know like that area is going to get like floor garlands, we'll lay the garlands out on the lawn and then we'll attach everything together and then we'll like put it up onto the house. And then for speed, like we put in all of our accessories and all of our minis, like everything before. So when we're building the garlands, and that's kind of a standard practice for us as a team, like even if it's like a 10-foot garland that's installing on a singular like arch for a client,
mhm.
when we're in our office, we like put everything in so that when we get on site, literally all we're doing is hanging it.
I do that
So
too. And I think that's not common. I do think that's rare.
okay,
Like everyone adds their 5 inch when they get there, but I'm like, that's like another 10 or 15 minutes on site. Like I want those suckers
yeah.
in and done. Like I want to get out of there so fast.
Yes, we're like always trying to go as quickly as possible to get out of there.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that bid day is kind of this anomaly too because we bring in so much outside help. So this year was probably our best year yet as far as like a team of helpers because we had our own internal team plus a ton of outside like really great balloon artists, people that had like reached out to me or that I've just like kind of gotten to know on social media over the years. And so like we fly them in or they drive in depending on their location. And so we're going into this like massive installation with a team of like professionals that know exactly what they're doing. So and we have like mock-ups and we have a big plan. So when you get there, you're like, okay, I have 6 garlands and this is what area I need to do something with. And you have the creative freedom to kind of like do that to an
Yeah.
extent.
Yeah. No, I agree. I had my biggest install this past year too. And I think it's so much easier to just like hire the right people who can work from a photo and you fully trust and
Totally.
pay them and let them do it. Like that, like that's, I don't know. I rather than like having all these recipes and all of this like training and trying to get people to do it the way I would, I'm like, if you're gonna do it a different way and it's gonna look fine, I'm totally, I'm totally okay with that. And
Yeah.
I feel like it makes the experience way more enjoyable.
Oh, I agree. For us, like we prep for bid day and everything, like we prep it all in our office. So like when they come here, they don't have to prep anything. They're literally just installing. So
Yeah.
like having that part done makes it a little like we had some control over like
Right. Like everything's sorted and
yeah,
everything's, yeah.
the foundation is there. So these are your tools to work with. Like go crazy.
Yeah, that's cool. That's very cool. So when you say you prep this in your office though, are you in like a warehouse? Like how much space do you have?
So our like everyday office is 2,500 square feet, and that's separate from our brick and mortar store.
Okay, gotcha.
And then we rented 2 additional warehouses. So we rented like a 5,000 square foot warehouse and then like another 3,000 square foot warehouse for bid day.
So that's just for bid day.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. We just
that's a good tip. That Tabitha also, she's in Louisiana and she did a big sorority thing too. She also rented a temporary, I don't know, it was like a storefront or some warehouse just for the week, which I think is
yeah,
such a good
totally.
hack. That's so smart when you need space, but you don't have a ton of it all the time.
Yeah, I just like saw some vacant spaces and like the retail sign for lease. So I just called them and was like, "Hey, like one space we've rented like 3 years in a row now, but I'm just like, hey, like I saw it's vacant. Like, would you be able to let us rent it for a week? We'll give you $1,000 or we'll give you $2,000."
Yeah. Cool. That's a good idea. And then speaking of money, can we talk about quoting? Because I guess
So, yeah.
it doesn't make any, I mean, it doesn't make any difference really. other than the fact that you have this brick and mortar and you're just juggling a lot more stuff than I think I am, because I'm only doing balloons, and quoting is overwhelming for me sometimes. So how are you like doing your whole store and then also quoting these jobs? Like, do you have someone else to do the quoting? Are you doing everything? Like, how do you have a system down for your quoting?
Yeah, I have a really great team. So I have a manager at the store. So she kind of runs the store, and then we have an assistant manager there. So my main job at the shop is displays and merchandising, which is taking a back burner while I do balloons for 2 months. So they're doing that. But Becca on my team is our operations manager, and she started with us as an intern in 2020. And so she kind of quotes all the jobs. And then if there's something that's a little more complex, then I'll help her. But she handles most of that, like nuts to bolts. So
Cool. Okay. And you mentioned your team. You're again, I feel like you're kind of the opposite in terms of like having a great team. I feel like the thing that we hear all the time is like people can't find help. They can't find someone to depend on. So what's your secret? How do you have this great team and how big are they?
so we are in a college town, so that's a huge help.
Okay,
We
yeah.
have, yeah, we have like an influx. So for us, a lot of people like are really busy in the summer, and us like we're really busy during the school year. So we hire a lot of college students to help like blow and fabricate everything. So I don't, outside of really busy weeks that they need me, like I don't blow anything ever, and I don't string anything ever. My team handles all of that. Um, and I think like the flexibility with their schedule. So I like send out the schedule and they can come whenever they want to do it. I don't care. They don't have like set work hours, which works really well for the students that some weeks might have a lot of tests or whatever else is going on in their personal life. So I would say that helps with that. And then I think having the brick and mortar in the retail and like the balloons, I mean, we offer like full benefits and PTO and all those kinds of things that I think are maybe a little bit different for people that are at home doing balloons with themselves and maybe have a hard time like attracting people because they don't have like the
It's
same
not a
structure.
full-time work. Yeah, got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
like for me, like every full-time person on our team like has a minimum 2 weeks of full paid time off plus health insurance, like the whole thing.
That's
So
amazing. Yeah. How did you set that up? How did you get to that point of being able to offer that? Because I feel like there's a lot of balloon people that like can't even imagine having any help, let alone full-time help, let alone full-time help with benefits. Like, is that just how you started it from the beginning?
yeah, I mean, I from the first like time we hired our first employee, we just had all that. So in my I think it was also like coming from like a very corporate world or like a project management world, I would say. It wasn't even like huge corporate. It was like these things are essential for me to have like when I hire my first employees.
Hmm.
And so we just started that way and it just kind of has
Yeah.
evolved
Can I
since
ask
then.
you a very nosy question? You can let me know if you don't feel comfortable asking. But again, I'm assuming I feel like there's a lot of interesting things because you started with retail. You didn't start with balloons. I think the average balloon person bootstraps. They buy a bag of balloons, they make something and they sell it for like $200, and then they grow and grow and grow, and we then you get a van, then you save up and you get the next thing. Then eventually you must have had a lot of cash at the beginning because you needed all the stuff. You needed products to sell, right? So did
Yeah.
you get like a traditional, like a business loan that afforded you the ability to do some of these things earlier?
No, we are completely debt free. We don't have any loans. We don't even have a line of credit to this day. Everything we do is paid for in cash from like the product in our store to like anything for the balloon team. And I had saved up like $40,000
Okay.
from my job. And so like that's what I started with my own personal cash and like rainy day savings to start Presley Page. And over the years, like when I was starting the store, like I bought all like the tables and things like used from other retailers. And it
Okay,
wasn't
interesting.
like we moved and like I bought like scanners and barcodes and cash. Everything was like used from Facebook Marketplace over like 5 years because I knew I wanted to open this store. And so I opened in 2020, but like I started like sourcing things for my future store in like 2015.
Wow, interesting. How
So
did you even know what to do? I'd be like, I don't even know what I need. Like you just said, like a barcode scanner. I was like, oh yeah. Like I wouldn't even
I don't know.
know.
I think I'm just like a very curious person and like always paid attention when I would go to other stores. So like I remember I liked how some retail store had like a little frame at the register with like their all sales finals. So like the next time I was at Target, I bought a little frame and I would like stick it in my spare bedroom at my house in my apartment in Springfield, not even the city that I opened the store in. So I would like just curate all these little things and be like, okay, someday I'm going to be ready to open
That's
my
amazing
store.
that you self-funded. Honestly, I'm still just like in awe. That's amazing. Because I feel like, yeah, I'm like, obviously I did too, but it's like on a much
Yeah.
smaller scale. But I think that's interesting that from the beginning you were like, no, we need full-time employees. We need
Well, I
life
didn't have the full,
insurance.
sorry. I don't want to misrepresent that. Like my mom worked in the store for the first year
Okay.
and I like quit my job. I was still working for the first full year of Presley Page. So my mom would work in the store Monday through Friday from like 9:30 to like 5. And I would go there in the morning before I went to work. And then like right after work, I would go there.
Okay.
And in like January of 2021, I quit my job like full time. And then I was full time Presley Page, but I also was still a consultant. And so I
Okay.
still consulted for like some major companies
So you
for
had like that little bit of a safety net.
yeah. So I didn't actually like not have my own personal income until 2023, until January
Interesting.
2030. So for 2 years of running the store, I still had like my own outside income.
Oh, that's so interesting. Thank you for sharing all that. So honestly,
Yeah,
I
I
think
don't want anyone to be like, "Oh, wow, she just did that." I was like, I was still working,
yeah, no,
just like,
I mean, so was I. I worked for the first 8 years of my balloon business. I would like work a
"Oh,
full-time
wow."
job. I would come home and inflate balloons until midnight. I would like play hooky, go do an install, and be like, oh, sorry, I just wasn't feeling good. And then like go to work. And like for 8 years, it was so stressful. But at the same
Oh, yeah,
time, it's like, I didn't want to take a loan. I didn't want to risk, you know, my
absolutely.
house. Like I wasn't going to take a second
Yeah,
mortgage. Like I definitely did it the slow, safe way. But um, I didn't, I mean, retail is such a mystery to me. If you can't tell, I'm like,
oh
I
my
have
gosh.
no concept,
Well,
but I think
for us,
that's
it was
cool.
like balloon started as like the side hustle, and I'd say like now we're in like year 4 or right 23 or 4 whatever ever of doing balloons. And so the balloons were always the side hustle, and so it was fun to have like this extra income for the business. But really, the retail store is what supported
Yeah.
everything, and like the retail store is what bought the truck and like afforded all these luxuries of us as a small balloon business. But now the balloon and like the event side of our business really like some months it beats it and other months it's like really tough competition. So they're like very, very busy equally, but balloons are typically winning lately.
That's awesome. I feel like that's a trend too I'm seeing. Like you mentioned having like a side hustle within your actual hustle. Like I feel like for me, it was obviously well, I had a full-time job and balloons were the side hustle. Then when balloons became my full-time job, like it's almost like this podcast became the side hustle, but then the
Oh yeah.
podcast is growing. And then I just bought the marquee letters and I'm like, that's my new
Oh,
side hustle
that's
within a side
awesome.
hustle. It's like, it's all these different revenue streams. But I think that's good because you're kind of evolving. And like you even said at the very beginning, you're letting your customers kind of drive some of those
For
decisions.
sure.
Like, oh, I'm not going to say no if everybody keeps asking me for these. And that's kind of how I was with those light up marquee letters. It was like, I am turning down so much business. I should just get these dumb things. And
Which
so
ones
I did.
did you get?
What was that?
Which ones did you get?
I'm lucky. I have a place about an hour from me that makes them locally.
Oh,
So
okay.
Cedar and Spice is the name of that company. They do sell to other balloon people, but mine are wood, but they're rounded. They're not like made in someone's garage. They're like
Okay.
nice, but
But
they're getting beat up quick though because I think I underestimated how much throwing those things in and out of the van would, you know, have an impact
oh
on
yeah.
them. So part of me does wish I had gotten metal, but also I think I spent a quarter of what I would have if I had gotten metal. So I'm definitely okay with my choice. Do you have them?
I don't have them. So kind of like I wanted to do like arches and backdrops, and we were planning my nephew's first birthday. And my sister was like, "You can't have another business. I want a business." And so in 2021, would that do, Becca? I can't remember. 2021 or 22. She started an event rental company
Okay.
as her side hustle, and she's since left her job, and now she's full time in the event industry as well.
That's a
And so,
nice connection to have.
yeah, it's been awesome. So like Presley Paige has like helped kind of like grow her business, and at the same time, like she gets clients for like she has the marquees that are made out of like LED, like
Okay.
colorful LED. And then she also has like big bar. She has tons of rentals. And so for us, that partnership with her is really valuable now for our business growth, because she might get somebody that wants marquees or a bounce house. And she's like, okay, well, we partner with Presley Page for balloons.
Oh, that's cool.
And so before we were doing that with like our local vendors like Alpha Lit, and then like anybody else that was like a local vendor, we were working really great with them. But having like my sister in the industry has definitely helped her grow her business. We get to put out a better product because like she has such cool pieces, and like we know what a client's budget is. So we figure out a way to like fit both of our things in there.
That's
And just
cool
sell it
too. Or just
really
like a second opinion. Like, do you think people would rent this? Or like,
Oh yeah.
how do we make balloons easier to attach to this flat arch or, whatever. That's a really cool connection to have.
Yeah. So
Cool.
she has all the rentals, and it's super fun. Her company is called Stellar Party Co. So if you ever see, I would say at this point, probably like 60% of our work is together. So
Really? Oh, that's really fun. That's super cool. Um, Real quick, I want to take one more break, but I just want to circle back on quoting. Do you have a CRM like dedicated to quoting your balloon businesses, or how do you do that?
yeah, so we have all the like requests come in through HubSpot, but I mean, we just have a standard formula of $25 a foot, and then we have like a percentage based installation fee if it's anything over like 20 feet. So
Okay. Cool. I love how simple everything is. You're like, yeah, it's just like not a big deal. I'm like, I love it. I feel like sometimes people make everything into like rocket science, and you're like, it's just you just like use a 260. It's fine.
I think for me, it's like being able to like take my hands off of it. I had to at least give like our operations manager some kind of structure to work within.
Mhm.
And in the beginning, I would say it was probably a little bit more rocky because I'd be like, oh, we should go more on this or that. But now I think she does a really great job, and she knows like, okay, if their budget's this, it's $25 a foot, but I could go a little bit more here, or I could take away. So I'm kind of hands off in that
Yeah.
now.
No, that's amazing. I love it. I have someone doing my quotes now too, and it's almost like I'd rather her get it wrong and do it on her own than like check on every single thing all the time. Like I'm just like we'll figure it out as we go, but like if I'm answering every question all the time, then it kind of defeats the purpose. So I fully trust her, and she doesn't make mistakes. She's like way better than I am. She doesn't call me on my own rules. Like, oh, but you said you weren't going to do this out of your county. And I'm like, oh yeah, I
Yeah,
break all my own rules.
me too.
But
I
no, she's
always get in
amazing.
trouble if I try to do mock-ups or quoting because it's wrong. So
Anytime I send a quote now, I'm like, oh shoot, there's like a typo or it's like the wrong quantity. I'm like, I'm just getting in everyone's way. I need to stay out of it. Let
always
it function without me. Cool. Let's take one more break. And then I have some fun questions, and I also want to talk about some of your I don't even know what you call it, like your branding, your we'll talk about it when we come back. Hey, listeners, before we wrap up today's episode, let's talk about our fantastic sponsor, the Balloon Guild. Do you ever see amazing balloon decor online and wonder, how did they make that? The Balloon Guild is revolutionizing the industry by standardizing recipes, SOPs, and offering unparalleled training. Their mission? To elevate balloon artists worldwide, ensuring efficiency, profitability, and unparalleled professionalism. For business owners and their teams, the Balloon Guild isn't just a resource, it's a game changer for growth and development. For me, it's been the ultimate shortcut in finally getting things out of my head and onto paper, so I'm not making things up on the fly, and so my team can work together to create consistent, fast decor. Visit their platform today at theballoonguild.com or by using the link in the show notes. New recipes and resources are released every month. Okay, welcome back. Before we wrap up, I just want to talk about some of the things that you have done that I think catch everyone's eye. And I don't know where it comes from. I don't know if it's all wrapped up into marketing, but like, for example, you covered your entire building with shimmer wall. Like,
Oh yeah, that was fun.
how? How? Why? Like, how did you think to do that? And like, how long did it take? And like, what was the purpose?
So we did the shimmer wall installation for Pinkmas, which is our like annual holiday extravaganza, you could say. It lasts for November and December, and we actually wanted a different application, but that was easier than what we wanted to do. So we were like, okay, we'll just cover the whole building.
Like, I mean, again, I'm like, how? Just brick clips?
No, I had a handyman like come install hooks at the
Okay.
top and the bottom, and then we just zip tied to the hooks, and there it
Do
was.
you know how many square feet of shimmer wall that was?
Um, I have no idea.
I like tried
Uh,
to put together a 6 foot by 6 foot panel and I like threw it in the garbage. I was like, I'm never doing this
so I
again.
think it was like about 1,200 or 1,500, somewhere like that number of squares.
Did they hold up okay outside?
Yeah, they were fine. I just didn't order the UV rated ones, so they
So
didn't
they
like
they
the
bleached a little
benefit.
bit.
Yeah, they totally faded on one side of the building, but we only ever intended to put them up for Christmas. So like we took them down after everybody wanted them up longer. So we kept them through Valentine's Day, and then we just took them down, threw them away.
Oh my gosh,
So
are you gonna do something similar again? Is like the whole exterior of your building, is that like a thing that you're gonna do every year now?
I don't know. I think I have been so busy with midday stuff that I haven't really played Pinkmas yet. But I have some ideas up my sleeve. So to be
Cool, cool. Even, I mean, I just feel like your stuff is so, I don't even know the right word, like designed or curated, or like you're not just buying things and putting them on a shelf. Like it's very creative. Even like I think you like covered your windows, or like you did the Pink Mist thing was like a big
oh
reveal when
yeah.
you had everything, and even Pink Mist as a sale or a promotion. Like how are you just hemming and hawing and coming up with these things, or are you in like retail mastermind groups? Like how do you come up with this cool stuff?
I wish I was in a retail mastermind group or some kind of
You
mastermind
should
group.
start one. I'm in one and it's very fun to get ideas. Actually, they're meeting right now without me. How dare they?
Oh my gosh. Oh
I
no.
double booked.
No, I think like I have a team of really creative people. I'm super creative. I love to see like what's happening in fashion and like the UK. I mean, there's just like tons of great event designers too, and especially in, like the wedding industry all over the world. I feel like I grab a lot of inspiration from what's happening outside of my small town. So, and then I try to figure out like is it, and I love big art and I love anything that's like insane.
Well, that's
So I
the
try
thing.
to
I think
take
most people would, first of all, not have the idea to cover a building in shimmer wall, but certainly I would be like, oh, that'd be cool. But like, obviously, I'm not going to do that. Versus you're like, that'd be cool. So let's order 1 billion shimmer wall panels and do it. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like you're a bit more fearless in terms of those big installs or ideas. I think that's very cool.
I think that it's like probably my favorite part about it is like I love to do work for clients, but everybody on our team I think really loves Peakmas too because it's the first time like not the first time, but it's one of those times every year that we get to do something for ourselves because we're like designing and pitching ideas to clients all the time. But this is like the thing that we get to do for ourselves, so we get to go crazy and do whatever we want, and like
Yeah.
nobody can really tell us no. So
Oh, that's super cool. Cool. All right. Well, let's wrap up. I just have a few unrelated for fun questions I like to end
okay.
on. And the first is, where's your favorite place to go on vacation?
Los Angeles, California. It's my favorite place.
Really?
Venice Beach, Abbot Kinney. Like I usually stay in like a little Airbnb over there. It's like my runaway spot.
Very
So
cool. Cool. The next one is about items, purchasing tangible things. So you'll maybe have some cute ideas for this. What is an item that you've purchased or maybe you've purchased for the store in the last 6 months that you're loving? Something that we can all go out and buy or envy.
oh gosh. I love a good candle, but lately I've been into room spray. So Brooklyn Candle Co. is like one of my favorite candle brands. and they have this Palo Santo room spray. And I've been like spraying it in my car, in my house, everywhere. I'm like a big into scents. So I love that. And I would totally recommend it for everybody.
Love it. Nice. And then the last question is a small piece of business advice for people listening.
Don't say no for the other guy. So like don't not pitch something because you don't think they're gonna say yes.
Interesting.
You don't know until you try. So like at least ask them or like send the crazy idea because it might just be like what changes your business.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So simple. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. It was nice to meet you. Hopefully I get to meet you in person soon.
Yes, maybe I'll make it to one of the conferences.
Yes, actually, stay on the call because I after we stop recording, I have an idea for you.
Okay, great.
But thank you so much. We will wrap this one up. And if you do not follow Presley Paige, is Instagram the best place for people to go and look you up?
Yeah.
All right. And you're just Presley Paige?
Yeah, we're Shop Presley Paige on Instagram and then at Presley Paige Productions as well for event work.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for listening. As usual, I tried to keep it bright and light. Our presenting sponsor is 17 Hats, the CRM I use to cut the chaos and manage my entire balloon business. From the lead capture form on my website to workflows and email templates, invoicing and grab-and-go garland automated bookings, it's all powered by 17 Hats, the best customer relationship management system for balloon businesses. There's even a 50% off coupon code waiting for you in the show notes wherever you're listening. I'll see you next week in another episode.